Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We've talked a bunch here on the show about the Gathering Storm Coalition, the charter members, Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. Well, that coalition has been very active over the past few days, and here's a question we'll start out with, and let me know what you think in the comments. Can this airtight coalition, anti-Western, anti-Israel coalition, again, led by Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea, they're the charter members. Then you have Turkey on the periphery, and Cuba, Venezuela, Belarus, and of course, Iran's ring of fire proxies like Hezbollah, Hamas. Can there be, or could there be potentially cracks developing in that coalition? Now, prior to President Trump taking office once again, I would have said no way. They're aligned against the West, and they still are, by the way. But the Trump administration, and we've talked about this a bit over the past 2 weeks, is making efforts, I believe, to drive a wedge into that Gathering Storm coalition and to create distance between Russia and its allies, Iran and China. Can it work? I'm not so sure, but it's worth a try, I believe, and especially when we see what we've seen today and this week, a major naval drill involving China, Russia, and Iran together in the Gulf of Oman, in the waters of the Middle East, in the shadow of that strategic Strait of Hormuz. Here's more from Reuters, not my favorite outlet, but it's kind of just the facts when it comes to this story. The joint drills between China, Iran, and Russia, they took place yesterday, I should say, Tuesday. It was called the Maritime Security Belt 2025. Now, it's taken place, this was the 5th year in a row that these drills have taken place. And it's funny, this is jogging my memory now. I remember reporting on this in previous years here on the Watchman Newscast. The drill marked the 5th year, and it actually was observed as well by some players. Azerbaijan, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, South Africa, Sri Lanka, and the UAE, they all observed, quote unquote. They were watching the drills unfold between these three heavy hitters, China, Russia, and Iran. And this piece says that the Americans were likely keeping watch as well. The U.S. Fifth Fleet stationed there in Bahrain or in that region, and neither China nor Russia actively patrol the wider Middle East, according to this piece. Instead, they cede that territory to Western nations, again, largely led by the U.S. Navy's Bahrain-based Fifth Fleet. And they have major interests, though, in the region. And according to this piece, the drills marked, this is interesting, a major moment for Iran's state-run television network, meaning Iran State TV picked this drill up. It's aired segments showing live fire during the drill and Iranian sailors manning deck guns on a vessel, because the exercises come after an Iranian months-long drill that followed the direct Israeli attack on Iran that destroyed that country's air defenses. Now, I was just reading that straight off my phone. Apologize for looking down, but I did not want to misquote, and here's why. Because the end of that piece was a tad bit misleading, I'd say. Israel attacked Iran only after Israel was attacked first. Remember, last April and then on October 1st, Iran launched direct attacks from Iranian soil against Israel, massive barrages, some 500 projectiles in all between the two attacks, including the largest ballistic missile stockpile in military history on October 1st. So, lo and behold, God forbid, yes, Israel responded. Thank God. On October 26th, when they eliminated Iran's air defenses. And folks, remember, that was Israeli fighter jets in the air for 3 hours over the skies of Tehran with little to no resistance. And in the process, again, they destroyed Iran's air defense systems. More on the ramifications of that in a minute. But that is a very key point. So what we see here are Iran, China, Russia, coming closer together clearly for these naval drills with other non-Western actors, nations, as observers. And now we see on Friday, speaking of Iran's air defenses, we've said here on the show that with those air defenses taken out, Israel now has a clear path. Israel, likely with help from the United States under President Trump, has a clear path to attack and, God willing, destroy Iran's nuclear sites, which are an existential threat. That said, China now, this Friday, March 14th, they just got done the naval drills together. Now China will host talks in Beijing surrounding Iran's nuclear program. And the talks will include, you guessed it, 3 of the 4 charter members of that Gathering Storm coalition, China the host, and Iran and Russia. Now, this brings us full circle to the point I made at the top of the newscast. Can Russia be flipped? You might say, what are you, crazy? They just did naval drills with China, Iran. Now they're meeting with them on Friday. Look, I said it's unlikely, but I want to give you a window into what the Trump administration may be thinking here. Before I do that, quick reminder to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. A lot going on in the world's most restless and prophetic region, as you can tell, and we are current events and breaking news from an unapologetically biblical perspective here on The Watchman. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe and make sure to check out our partner for today's newscast, our good friends at Magen David Adom. It is SaveLivesIsrael.com. They are Israel's emergency medical services system, and that means that every terror attack, every rocket or missile that falls, even a car accident, a heart attack, God forbid, Magen David Adom first responders are the first on the ground. Their ambulances are everywhere in Israel. I see them all the time. It's a largely volunteer force. And God bless them because they're leaving their families, their loved ones, and they're going into the eye of the storm. At least 30 Magen David Adom volunteers have been killed since the October 7th massacre. At least 17 of their ambulances have been destroyed. And again, these are volunteers doing God's work, just trying to help their fellow countrymen and women. They are the first on the ground, and we support Magen David Adom strongly. You want to bless Israel? You want to make a difference in Israel's time of greatest need? Magen David Adom is a great place to start. Again, SaveLivesIsrael.com. This is an organization that is making a tangible difference in the lives of everyday Israelis and playing a role, I believe, in Israel's national security, as Israel is engaged in a war right now on 7 fronts, and as large regions or large areas of the northern region and southern region or along the Lebanon and Gaza borders remain evacuated. Magen David Adom is stepping up to the plate. They need ambulances. They need a bunch of materials to do their job and do it well during a time of war. And by the way, they also control Israel's blood supply. So this is a major, major organization doing God's work that you need to get behind. It's SaveLivesIsrael.com. We are proud to partner with our good friends at Magen David Adom. And speaking of good friends of the sinister variety, China, Russia, Iran obviously cleaving closer together in recent years. Here's what I think the Trump administration is thinking. They want to peel Putin off from China and Iran. Now, let me preface this by saying that's going to be very tough. Look, Russia's all in with Iran. We've documented this many times here on the newscast. Russia has a full-blown military alliance with Iran and China, so they're all in when it comes to the Iranian regime. But I think the Trump administration is saying, okay, if we can at least take Russia out of the category of outright hostile adversary to the United States and the West and have them at least be, I don't want to say neutral, but not, again, be outright hostile, then maybe that's a win. That's what they're thinking. And maybe we can do that. Maybe Russia, we can use Russia in these talks on Friday to put pressure on Iran and to get Iran to come to its senses and give up its nuclear program. Again, I don't have any anticipation that this is going to happen, but I guess, as I said at the top, it's worth a try to go through the diplomatic route before the inevitable outcome, I believe, when it comes to Iran's nuclear program, will be a military strike that no one wants to see, but which the Iranian regime has left the world with no choice but to do. President Trump right now, and we're seeing with Russia, okay, he's trying to at least not have Russia be an outright hostile adversary. And with Iran, before going and striking Iran's nuclear facilities, he's saying, okay, we'll give you one last chance. We're giving diplomacy one last chance here. And if our economic pressure campaign does not convince Iran to abandon its nuclear program, then we're going to do what we have to do. We will unleash Israel, and the United States in that case would come alongside Israel and very likely support Israel as it strikes Iran's nuclear sites. Remember, Israel is going to need mid-air refueling planes and perhaps some of those U.S. bunker-busting bombs to really have the impact it needs to have in a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. But President Trump, look, he ran on not starting and prolonging wars. He wants to end wars. So I see what he's doing here with Russia, Ukraine, and with Iran's nuclear program. He's trying to avoid direct confrontation with the Gathering Storm Coalition if he can. But folks, again, I'm not so optimistic that that is realistic. I think at the end of the day, Vladimir Putin is who he is, and he's so invested in that relationship with China, Iran, and North Korea that I can't see him walking away from that. And also when it comes to the Iranian regime, look, their ideology demands nuclear weapons, which would enable them to destroy Israel. They might say, no, we don't want to go nuclear. And I love it when the left says, look, Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, he has said, no, we won't develop nuclear weapons. It's against Islam. Yeah, right. We know exactly what Iran's been doing for years. It's been described as the Cuban Missile Crisis in slow motion. And that's what we have. So I think the inevitable outcome there, despite these talks Friday in Beijing, and despite efforts to get Iran to come to heel and unilaterally give up its nuclear program, I don't think it's going to happen. And I've called this the year of reckoning for that nuclear program, 2025. And I think eventually Israel's going to do what it needs to do. And the Trump administration, in the very least, will give Israel a very enthusiastic green light. President Trump has said to Iran, this is your final chance. As for Russia, we'll see how that pans out. But again, tough to see Putin turning on his good buddies in Pyongyang and Beijing and Tehran. But we shall see, folks. Interesting times, Bible times, no doubt. Thanks for joining us here today for the newscast. Until next time, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.